Here we are again. So good. I hope you each feel as supported as I do in sitting together. It's it's buoyant. It's like a raft that helps me, you know, get across my dirty, nasty river of junk that I collect on a daily basis. So I read something interesting earlier that this old Japanese Zen master said, before you can hear the way, you have to clean your ears. And he said, what do I mean by that? He said, when you feel close to someone who seems to think like you, only they don't, your ears are dirty. When you seem to dislike someone who you don't think thinks like you, but they do, your ears are dirty. So, of course, he's talking about our judgments, our attitudes, and the things we believe based on a lot of assumptions. So, you know, our goal here with just practicing is to just have a better life, be a better human being, share what we experience in a more effective and clear way. When you're a meditator, if the distance sort of mentally between seeing your prejudice, your idea, and how it's leading you down a path that could be painful for yourself or someone else is pretty short. You can very quickly go and stop. And then you can be a compassionate, loving person because you're no longer projecting your idea of what you think is happening here in front of you. And you can see. Sometimes when we try to communicate with someone, we totally miss the boat. We say something that may get totally misinterpreted because they haven't cleaned their ears. You know, they're hearing based on their karmic way of doing life, the way they see things. So if a person is inclined to feel always judged and never appreciated, then it's possible where they don't really hear you. And you say something very clearly and you think they understand you, like, tomorrow is Tuesday. We're going to such and such. 10 minutes later, the person says, what are we doing tomorrow? And you say, I told you, we're going to such and such. And they get offended. Why? Their, their ears aren't clear, either are mine. Both of us are making some assumptions here. They're feeling bad because they're feeling judged. Like, why are you judging me for, look at your face. You're laughing at me. No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just puzzled. So here's an opportunity for clear communication. But in order to have clear communication, you can't have dirty ears. So getting back to practice, it's all about trying to be clear, trying to get past our own prejudice, our own ideas of how things are that are not correct. in any given moment, what we think is correct is not. So don't know is saying, don't assume that this is correct. You are correct. I just told you. What, you didn't listen? I heard a friend the other day try to make a joke with a person that was waiting on us. And he said something really horrible. And he thought he was being funny, but it was very insulting. And the person did their best to sort of push it off, but he's a customer, so there's this. And I felt like I wanted to say, forgive him. He didn't mean anything, he's just an idiot. He's just an idiot. And I don't clearly communicate what's really necessary to have an effective communication and not put somebody off, not make somebody feel bad, all of that. But then on the other hand, how a person feels is on them, not on you. And how you feel is on you. So if you're a meditator or someone who is in touch with how their mind is operating, then they can catch it and they can recognize it and they can own it and then they can let go of it. And that's the process over and over again. We've been through this hundreds of thousands of times, but practice is never over. Being on the path is never, you're never enlightened and it's not there anymore. Enlightenment just speeds up that process of being present. When you're a complete idiot, being present is pretty far away. When you're closer to seeing how things are, it's right there. Oh, I'm being an idiot. Instantly, before you effectively, create a mess. So wise beings, wise people aren't wise because they know everything. They're wise because they know themselves and they know what they're capable of and not capable of. And they can recognize it in other people. And then their compassionate heart and mind can work. So this is just one aspect of what it is we're doing, what I'm talking about. This is just limiting it to communication. Someone may take something we say to heart when we don't mean it, and it can be hurtful. Or they can take something to heart that we don't even realize is changing their whole lives. By somehow we supported them in believing in themselves, going on with their lives in a positive way that we don't even know. We just said something truthfully and honestly about how we feel. And maybe that's the first time that person has ever heard that someone was being that truthful and honest. And making it okay to recognize, yeah, I'm a mess. And that's what we do here, really. I'm a mess and I can recognize it. It's not about being better. It's about recognizing the mess we are and moving on from there. So that's what's been on my mind. Communication and accepting the way we really are, just the way we are. So, and communication, wow. When my daughter Karen died, when she was 16, one of the big lessons I learned was how out of touch I was with my feelings, emotions, and communicating clearly, rather than saying, doing what I thought I should be doing as a parent. Or, it was that was such an eye-opening moment. It was like the clouds disappeared and it was like, bam, You idiot. Wake up, pay attention, be there for people in a real way. It was just so, it was like a major, major shift in my life. And it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't all of a sudden, of course. It was like a process of getting healthy. And getting healthy meant, dealing with all this stuff that wasn't healthy. So, so we all have our unique experiences like that, where we have to face our lives just the way they are, including what we're not doing so well, especially those. We all have things to work out, don't we? And it's really wonderful to just be at peace and love life and be clear. That's all. Okay, let's hit the road.